It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. Yes, the truth indeed will set you free. Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially live. This is your host, Dan Dix from Press for Truth. We're going to be taking questions today from the chat window and from the steemit post. So let me go ahead and make sure we are actually live. Last time I went live, we didn't have anyone tuning in off the bat. And it looks like we do this time. So that's good news. Get your questions in. We're going to be monitoring the chat today. And bear with me for one moment as I share this around on social media and post it to the steemit post. Once again, if you're not on my steemit, you should be. It's steemit.com/@pressfortruth. I'm going to be refreshing the page over there every now and then and taking questions from the steemit post as well. And also today we have joining me on the line the one and only Leigh Stuart, our East Coast correspondent. Leigh, how are you doing today?
Good. Excited. The weather is nice. Winter is over. We can go outside. As you're sitting outside, I wish I was sitting outside.
Yes, it is beautiful.
Happy winter's done.
Yeah, me too, man. It was a long one, and finally we can be outside. I don't know if people remember, I used to shoot out here right on this deck all the time, and I'm just waiting for that greenery to fill back in, and that's going to be my backdrop once again, instead of just like my bedroom white wall. I think it's much better to chill outside and have this nice greenery background. I think people like that better, so I'm going to stick with it.
I do.
Yeah.
I like looking at the mountains, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to live vicariously through you.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me post this to Facebook right now, and if everybody could do the same, go ahead and share it to your various social media accounts, your Facebook, your Twitter, whatever you got to do. I just shared it on Facebook, I think. Oh, there we go. And now let me see about pulling back up the YouTube window and make sure we are here. All right, Preacher Boy Inc. asks, we already have a question in the chat. Let's go ahead and answer it. Does white privilege really exist? Good question. That's obviously the title of this video. Not that we're exclusively going to be talking about, white privilege today exclusively, but I wanted to take on a number of questions from the chat in that regard, because there is a conference going on today, actually, in Toronto at Ryerson University, where they're doing a white privilege conference. It's actually a global conference. It's been going on, I don't know if you knew this, Leigh, it's been going on since 1999 in the United States, this conference. And this is the first time they're actually holding it in Canada. And no, I don't think it does actually exist. I put out a video on this yesterday, a pretty lengthy, extensive video on my views on the white privilege myth, and I think I debunked it pretty well in that video, explaining how it's really a racist concept in and of itself to pin the blame for your own problems and some of the things we're seeing in society on a particular group of people that have a particular color of skin. That seems pretty racist in and of itself. So there's lots of ways we can dismantle this. But Leigh, is white privilege a real thing? Does it exist?
Right off the bat, in my opinion, no. And the evidence that I've seen surrounding it, that I have found, no, it doesn't exist. And it actually divides people even more. And that plays into the agenda. It's also known as class-based guilt. That is something that is spread, nationwide,
Mm-hmm.
towards every race.
Mm-hmm.
It's a divide tactic. It's also to blame a certain race for, I feel like I can't be held responsible for something that happened decades ago that, I wasn't even born back then. And to blame me for something that's happened, in the past, whether it's about Indigenous or slavery, especially in Canada, that doesn't really affect me
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that's right.
Why am I responsible? So that's something that I have a problem with. The whole victim mentality, the whole SJW. I'm not sold on it, so I don't know. But I would like to go to the conference, and I will be attending on Saturday. And if I can possibly get inside, I would like to hear what they're actually saying. I think it would be interesting
I think that's a great
to see
idea.
what they're teaching. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's kids too, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in grade 6, so I want to know what they're actually teaching these 6th graders.
Yeah, yeah, we're going to take a look at what's on the curriculum for these 6th graders. Grade 6, my God, it's just like indoctrinating the youth at its worst. And in fact, that's what all this stems from. Really, is coming from the schools, from the universities. This Marxist ideology is permeating its way throughout society, and for example, like one of the things that these guys are being taught and that they're taken to heart in applying to this concept of white privilege is this idea that there was a time when the proletariat overthrew the bourgeoisie because there was an unfair disadvantage there, and so they're being taught that it was a righteous, just move, and so they're applying that to what's going on today, where they will say, because you are black and the system is being built to be against black people, that is why you are not successful. Or because you are a woman and the system's being built to be against women, that is why you are not successful. When, it doesn't apply here in Canada. Like you said, I mean, we have a relatively free country here in Canada. You can develop a craft, you can become an entrepreneur, you can climb the hierarchy ladder of business and politics. There's nothing stopping anyone from doing that today. Except one thing that does stop people from that is socialism. Because when you are getting, a weekly paycheck for your welfare, it gives no incentive to want to better yourself and better your life. I mean, you don't have to get up early in the morning. You don't have to think about going out and trying to make yourself better. Why would you? You're getting a free paycheck from the government, and that is what's stifling people's ability to progress. It's not the white man, because there's literally no laws or anything like that in place, no legislation here in Canada that would bar anyone of any particular race from being able to succeed and move up the ladder. So that notion that this is all the white man's fault is really externalizing the blame for your own laziness and your own inability to develop your own craft and become an entrepreneur. And that's
I
what's
was just going to say that too. I was just going to say that there are no laws that benefit white people more so than any other race. Then that would be white privilege, or against a different minority. If there were
Mhm.
laws that were, that went against other minorities, then I would understand. But there's no such thing. As well as, uh, every white person's accomplishment is also going, saying that we have white privilege, which is also doesn't make sense. Any accomplishment done by a white person is not privilege. It's that they've just applied themselves. It's that they've accomplished. They've set goals. They've tried really hard and worked hard for what they have accomplished in life. It has nothing to do with skin color.
Yeah.
It's quite ridiculous to racial profile somebody based on their accomplishments. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It doesn't come down to the color of your skin. As I said in my video yesterday, what the battle really is here is state power versus social power. It's the state oppressing you, and that's the focus that people should have, not this racist notion that it's a particular race or a particular group of people. No, we need to focus on the central bankers who have enslaved us through their fractional reserve lending system, where we're all born into this debt-based system today, and that's really the crux of the matter here. If you want to really find out who your oppressors are, just look at your taxes and look at your state and look at your banking situation and the fact that most people have multiple mortgages, multiple lines of credit, tons of credit cards, and they're swimming up to their necks in debt. That is a system of control. That is a system of slavery. And so if we want to look at how to better ourselves, we need to learn how to step outside of this governmental control, this system that keeps us under control, the state. And that's the one thing that they fear is an awakened society who becomes self-sustainable, who learns an entrepreneurship, learns to develop a craft, and can not have to rely on the nanny state to feed them, So I think that's what the focus should be, is the big banks, the centralized banksters. It doesn't matter what the color of their skin is. It doesn't matter what their race is. It matters what their mechanism of enslavement is, which is the issuance of debt, which we're, as I said, pretty much born into at this stage in the game. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at what they're actually showing here at Ryerson. Let me pull this up onto the screen. Here is the White Privilege Conference Global. As you can see, it says, "Are Canadians too polite? Addressing global perspectives on white privilege and oppression in Canada and beyond. Through Canada, though Canada is praised around the world for its multiculturalism, there are still hurdles that exist nationwide. Proudly diverse and intentionally inclusive, Ryerson University's Office of the Vice President, Equity and Community Inclusion will be hosting the White Privilege Conference Global." Now, we really broke this down in my video yesterday, but this is the problem right here that I really, really have with it all. As you said, Leigh, the youth program, which they call YAP. WPC Global's youth program is called the Youth Action Project, which involves youth in grades 6 to 12. We're talking about 10 and 11-year-olds here, up to around 18-year-olds. LAP is led by a team of experienced facilitators, social justice warriors, who provide a safe and challenging space. There's your safe space, folks. Geared towards youth of all ethnic backgrounds who are committed to understanding and dismantling white supremacy, white privilege, and other forms of oppression. Again, no emphasis on the state. And here's the most troubling aspect of it all. The goals is SNAP. Yeah, they want them to snap all right. But what it stands for is see, name, act, and proceed. So they want you to be able to see certain manifestations of white supremacy, meaning, coming up with a way to pin your problems on somebody else. Name that, getting into ridiculous arguments without actually, using, proper dialogue and transparency to solve an issue. Act, this is, of course, the SJW aspect of this, to take maybe even direct action, as most SJWs promote, and then proceed, as in carry on as the leaders, planting ongoing seeds of change in their communities while staying connected to the national organization of YAP alumni. So, Leigh, it's not just enough to brainwash our children into believing these Marxist ideologies and promoting this racist nonsense. But they want to create the SJWs of tomorrow, who are eventually going to be running for office and heading up HR departments and being the ones who are going to be shutting down our free speech. So this is why this is so dangerous, especially when it comes to indoctrinating the Hitler youth or the YAP youth.
Right. It's like, it doesn't stop at just university. It's now in grade schools. And this is where we need to look at, potentially homeschooling your kids, because if it's possible, this is the type of indoctrination that's taking place in the schools when we have no control. It's completely the government's hand inside the cookie jar that is manipulating your child's brain, and this is when they're the most manipulative. Their brains are still molding, so they're so open to this information. And I was even a victim of it in school. I will admit, I was indoctrinated at one point, and thank God I woke up to what was going on so that I can help other people try and wake up. And that's my goal, is to help these people that are falling asleep, and hopefully before it's too late, we'll be able to snap people out of it. But this is just ridiculous. And it really it actually, like, it this whole, like, victimization, or wanting to help other people, it applies to or attracts people who are empath. Or it attracts people who are feeling sympathetic to others, so they feel badly for minorities, and it's partially the government's fault. Justin Trudeau, all these minorities, or he calls them irregular border crossers. People that I have talked to are saying that they're asylum seekers, when in fact they're not. It's the government manipulating people into thinking that these people are from war-torn countries, that they need asylum from countries that are in desperate need of help. And that's where the manipulation is coming in. It's the whole victimized mentality, and it's playing on the heartstrings of empaths or people who want to help others. And it's a crime. It's sick that they're playing on people's empathy or sympathy for the humankind.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It is. And it's getting it's worse with every generation. As they say, it only takes about 15 years of taking over the mind, shaping the minds, molding the opinions and the ideas of the next generation by infiltrating the universities and the school system and the media. And that's what we've been seeing. So this has been in a long time agenda. It's been going on for a couple of decades now, because we're starting to really see it permeate its way throughout society. Now, we have the chat window up here on the screen, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions we might have coming in. I'm going to scroll right back up to the top because we might have missed a few. Matt Wright says, at Press for Truth, are you going to the protest against the white privilege meeting on May 13th? Actually, I would love to be able to go and attend that. But I am currently here in British Columbia on the west coast of Canada. But Leigh, you are currently in the area of the protest, and what are your plans as far as coverage of the event? Oh, do we still got you, Leigh? Can you hear me? All right, we may have lost Leigh. Oh, you back? Okay.
It cut out.
Oh, okay. You're back now, though?
I'm back.
All
Yes.
right. All right. Sweet.
The last thing I heard you say was, I wish I could go to, I think someone was asking about the protest.
Yeah. What's your plans for coverage?
On Saturday. So it's on Saturday, May 12th, not the 13th, at 11 a.m. Apparently, what I've seen on Twitter is that people are meeting at the main entrance, and I will be there to cover it. Yes. And some familiar faces will also be there, but I can't say who. So it's going to be a huge counter protest to the event that's going on at Ryerson, for sure. And I will be there live streaming.
Yeah, I look forward to your coverage. That's going to be awesome. So glad you're going to be able to be there. Let's see. Next question. Vahid M. Are you a child of the Most High God? He's amazing. Yeah, I think we are all children of the Most High God. Your idea of who God is might be different than mine, but I follow the God of the Bible. The triune God. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. That certainly is my God, and that's someone who I follow. And I think that's another reason why we're seeing society fall apart the way we are, because so many people have turned their backs on Christ, turned their backs on God, and who are, going about it their own way, instead of, focusing on the foundational values that we've had here in the West. That's being completely turned aside, and that's a large part of the reason why I think we're seeing things fall apart to a large degree. Matt Wright says there's no systemic racism in Canada. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling through here and try to find some more questions. And don't forget, we all are also here on steemit, steemit.com/@pressfortruth. We just had a super chat pop up. See if there's any questions there. Ali Clark, thank you so much for the super chat. Your contribution is very, very greatly appreciated. It's people like you who help make these videos continue, so that I'm able to continue doing this. My dog is freaking out here. I don't know if you can see him. Here, let me bring Kaiser into the shot. Hey, look, buddy, we got a live show going on here that you're interrupting, but that's fine. Okay, let me see if we got any more questions in the chat. Why is he in the forest? I'm not sure if you're referring to me in my particular shot, but it's just nice outside. It's a nice day to be out. Is anyone else sad that Gen Z, my generation, is the last white majority generation? You may be onto something there, Matt. Right? There is a move against I mean, some people have pointed out the white genocide that is happening in Africa, in particular amongst African farmers. A lot of people have been raising that issue, and the fact that the Muslim Caliphate, for example, is as it has been for thousands of years, really, been the goal to expand globally. And so yeah, we are seeing that. I don't know if we're necessarily in the time of the last generation, but this is something that is very real. Thanks for bringing that up. Let me see what else we have as far as questions. Lawrence McCurry is in the house. Hi, Dan and Leigh. What's up, Lawrence?
Hey, Lawrence.
Friend of ours from Toronto. Let's see. Bear with me, guys. I'm just scrolling through. You've got a lot of great comments going up, but not seeing many questions. Here's one. Is that Lauren Southern? Nope. I don't know if you're asking about Leigh.
I see that all the time. I don't know why. Yeah, apparently people think like we're related, but I will set the facts straight. We are not related. At least I don't think so. We're both Canadian, but that's about it.
Yeah, totally. You don't even have blonde hair. It's not even quite comparable.
No, I don't see it, but I don't know. Whatever.
I'm going to jump over to the steemit post. I don't want to forget about my fellow Steemians. So let me just go ahead and refresh that right now and see if we have any questions coming in from them. And we are already up to $2 SBD. If you're not familiar with Steemit, guys, I'll just briefly break it down for you. Steemit.com, Steemit, is a new social media website where it works kind of like a Facebook crossed with a Reddit, where you can post stuff, anything you want, pictures, videos, just your blogs, your thoughts, whatever, your status updates. But like Reddit, the Steemit community can vote up content, and content that makes it to the front page or starts trending will earn a cryptocurrency called Steem Dollars that is issued to you by the website. So I've literally supplemented my income from the YouTube adpocalypse by generating Steem Dollars and then trading those Steem Dollars for Bitcoin or You could trade it for other things too, tangible gold and silver. You can turn your Bitcoin into fiat and have, cash deposited into your bank account. Um, it's truly revolutionary. And some people have claimed that it's a Ponzi scheme, but that's not possible because you don't have to pay in anything. I've never given Steemit a single penny, nor has anyone. But we're all managing to produce an income off of Steemit, and it's been pretty good for me, Leigh. What's your experience been like on Steemit for you so far? Because I think you just got into it like what, maybe 6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, about that. I love Steemit. You literally can make money off of sharing posts, or even if you don't want to make posts, if you just like leave comments on people's posts or share them, you still make money. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's true.
I know people that have paid off their student loans with Steemit, so
Hmm.
I'm not complaining. I think it's great.
Yeah, I've done quite well there. I mean, it takes a lot of work and effort, just like anything to succeed. Remember, like that whole white privilege thing. It's not about the color of your skin. It's about the amount of work and determination and effort that you put into something. And I've been on Steemit for a year, over a year and a half, and have managed to build a following of nearly 10,000 followers now. Which is why when I post now, I'll have a certain amount of people who are always liking up my stuff, and so I'm pretty much guaranteed a certain amount of money in the form of Steam dollars every time I post. And it's only building and building, and it's incredibly, incredibly exciting because, as I said, I'm paying my bills with this, man. It's been
Mm.
amazing. I'm making more money off of Steemit than I ever did off of YouTube. Again, it's not about the money. Those of you who know me know that it's not about that whatsoever. I've been putting out my work for free for over a decade now. 12 years on YouTube. All my documentary films, all my videos, all my research, all my content goes out for free. And all we do is we just ask that people contribute in the form of donating or even just liking my stuff up on Steemit as a way to help us be able to continue doing this, because it costs money for equipment. It costs money to do live streams like Leigh is going to be doing in a couple of days at this conference. I'm sure you guys are interested in seeing that information. Well, it costs money to bring you this information. We're still putting it out there for free, but it costs money to do so. So on that note, not to digress, but you can contribute to us at pressfortruth.ca/donate. There we have options. You can sign up as a PFT member. You can become a PFT patron. You can contribute good old-fashioned fiat through PayPal. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You can even use snail mail and send us, gear or equipment or a check in the mail or anything. If you're old school and you don't like to deal with credit cards and PayPal and online systems, I totally get that. You can actually send us good old-fashioned snail mail as well. All right, let's head on back over to the chat window and see if we can get to anybody else's questions. Oh, I've got too many windows open here. I got to figure out how to get back to the... There we are. All right, let me scroll on back up and see what other questions we might have. Here's one. Hezbollah wins elections. Israel airstrikes in Syria become more frequent. Trump backs out of Iran deal. Will Israel get its war within the next year? Excellent question. I think there is indeed a major war brewing in the Middle East, in particular with Syria and Iran. And you bring up Trump. It shouldn't be a shock to anyone that politicians, businessmen, flip-flop on the things that they campaign on. And, because you can look back at old tweets from Trump where he's talking about Obama and Obama going into Syria is the worst thing you can possibly do. America first. Let's just focus on ourselves here. If you go in there, it's going to be nothing but bad, bad, bad for us Americans. And, well, what's happening now? He's going in there. I mean, it should be blatantly clear that there's an agenda from the deep state, the puppet string pullers, to overthrow the Middle East and to overthrow secular dictators who can be replaced with their puppets, their system of democracy, which is providing the people an illusion of choice. This is the way they've been able to do it. And certainly Israel plays their hand in this. There were some strikes in Syria just about a week and a half ago, which it's still unconfirmed, but it is believed that it did in fact come from Israeli forces. And I've always said they're going to be trying to get to Syria in line to be able to take down the allies with Hezbollah in order to move their way into Iran. And as we said, Trump just yesterday, I believe it was, pulled out of the deal that Obama set up with Iran and to dismantle their nuclear program back in 2015. I think the original deal was agreed upon. Well, this is just another sign that heavy sanctions are going to be placed on Iran, and they're going to be eventually, moving in to take them down. It's all about taking out the big bad boogeyman, who we have to remember, they build up these boogeymen, and then they create false flags. They create lies. Look what happened in Libya. Look what happened in Iraq. Look what happened with Gaddafi and Saddam Hussein and Bashir al-Assad. These are all men that have been set up, and don't get me wrong, folks. I'm not saying that these men were any kind of bastions of light. That these are in fact dictators. Every government has its issues around the world, and they certainly have their serious issues to deal with as well. But one thing I do know for sure is that the West is manipulating us here through the mainstream media in order to justify going in there under the guise of a humanitarian mission, right? It was just like in Syria with the chemical weapons, that didn't happen. Bashir al-Assad didn't just all of a sudden gas his own people right in the middle of winning the war against the ISIS, which is a creation of the CIA, by the way. They were funded, armed, and trained when they were the rebels in Iraq, when they were once referred to as Al-Qaeda, and they were created by the CIA and moved their way into Syria, and all of a sudden we have this new group called ISIS. This is all stemming from the Central Intelligence Agency. It's their way to be able to manipulate and control. Order out of chaos is always the modus operandi. So yes, back to your question, John Haves. I do think Israel is going to be involved. They are going to be working on the Hezbollah connection, taking out Syria, and eventually moving into Iran. Scary times for the Middle East.
I always think of like the seven countries that Wesley Clark exposed way back when. Like the timeline's not correct, but the countries are definitely correct that he named. And have they ever really stopped being like at war in the Middle East? Has that ever really stopped? I mean, I don't think it has.
I don't know that it ever will, and that's the
right.
That's the beauty of their, not the beauty. I mean, that's the genius of their wicked scheme by creating a war on terror, because it's a faceless enemy.
Did you hear Trump actually? Did you hear his speech yesterday? He actually said that Iran was a manufacturer of terrorists. One of the largest ones. What? Since when?
Yeah.
No, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, and really, maybe they ought to focus on their own manufacturing of terrorism. First
Exactly.
of all, what they call now, like these attacks we're seeing in the United States and elsewhere. They're calling, acts of terrorism. Well, it used to just be referred to as war. When you bomb another country, when you invade an entire region and bomb their people and innocent people die, you can expect some blowback. This is what war is. And so the terrorism in the first part has been created by them. And they're using it as an excuse to not only take over the Middle East, but to clamp down on the basic civil rights of Americans and Canadians alike. So that's what's going on in a nutshell. I just noticed though, we've got 64 people watching. Usually we've got a couple hundred by now, and it's been on the same number for the last 20 minutes. So I hope the people are actually getting this in their feed. I hope it's showing up in your notifications. Maybe you can let us know in the chat. Did you get notified of this stream when we went live, or did you stumble upon it in your subscription feed or on one of our social media posts?
I did get a notification, but you know what? YouTube likes to throttle the number of people watching. They like to do that and manipulate the numbers. They've been exposed for doing that. So
here's a question from the chat. It's a good one from Vivian Good. Do people understand why they are bringing all these immigrants in? Do they understand the impact on their country? Where the benefits to support them comes from and how that affects them. Leigh, you've been covering what's been going on in Quebec. Maybe you can update some people there, because I know in just this particular year, the number has risen by an astounding amount of where it was up from last year, from how many people are illegally crossing the border in Quebec. And let's be clear, we have no problem with immigrants migrating to this country. It's a beautiful thing that makes Canada what it is. But when things are done illegally, and they take over the social system, and the tax, which is theft in itself anyways. It's not something I support in any way, shape, or form. But yes, we have to be concerned about unvetted people coming in here. Leigh, what's the latest in Quebec right now in regards to the wide open borders?
Well, I can't quote a number because that's completely up in the air. It's actually, it came out a few days ago that they were manipulating the numbers and not disclosing the amount of how many, they were lowballing how many immigrants had come in and were turned away, or rejected or sent away from, that were, after they were processed, didn't receive clearance to stay in the country and were sent home. They've completely manipulated those numbers, so I can't quote a number for you. But there have been reports of the federal government wanting to build now a shelter for up to 520 illegal migrants or illegal immigrants coming over at the Quebec border, that will house 520 illegals, all shelter, heated, ventilated, beds, illuminated, with sleeping, security, reception, and a quarantine space, all on the Canadian taxpayers' money. And I believe they should be helping Canadians first. It also came out today that $1 million, I believe, is going to Somalia to help them there.
Yeah, Trudeau is pretty generous with the Canadian people's money when it comes to these types of things.
Yeah, and I want to like hammer it home that I have no problem with people who are fleeing war-torn countries or seeking asylum, but they need to go through the proper process to come to Canada, applying first. And the thing that I also have a problem with is that these illegals that are coming over in Quebec are actually throttling the people who have applied and have vetted and are actually, needing asylum from say Syria or whatever country they're from. They have properly applied and are waiting in queue. But now these people who have crossed over illegally, they're being processed first, therefore backlogging everybody else.
Yeah.
I think that's completely unfair. And, it's all because of Justin Trudeau's tweet, and Canadians are cashing the bill in for it. And another article that I actually posted, shelters in Toronto are also full, and having to reject homeless people because they've taken in so many asylum seekers, as you will, or irregular migrants. And now the shelters are asking Canadian or Toronto neighborhoods to house these illegal immigrants in their homes, to take them into their own houses, and cater to them until there are beds ready available at the shelters. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the possibilities of what could go wrong in those scenarios. And, they're taking, once again, advantage of, liberals. And in Canada, there are a lot of liberals taking advantage of them, wanting to help or feeling empathetic. It's that whole tugging on the heartstrings mentality. And it's just, it's so dangerous. And, I don't know if you've seen photos of the tent cities in Calais, the crimes that are going on there. I think actually Lauren Southern did visit one of those camps, if I'm not mistaken, and kind of expose what was going on there. That's coming down the pipe.
Yep.
That's what we have to look forward to here in Canada if it's not stopped. And what people are calling for is not to shut down the border at Quebec. They're calling to make it an official point of entry, so that it's not the RCMP arresting these illegal migrants coming over. It's actual border guards and the CBSA allowed to reject people from entering the country illegally. If it's an official point of entry, they're able to turn them away. But since it's not, they're actually having to take them in. So that's what they're calling for. I saw someone in the chat asking if we should build a wall, and I don't think that's the answer, because if there's a wall, we ain't getting out.
Yeah. I don't think the wall is the answer either, and I do think we have to look at how the system is being dealt with here at home. I think they're doing away with the private sector and opening it up to the governmental public sector, which is a complete failure. And some of the people who are being rejected, who are on that list, a lot of people don't know this, Leigh, is that they are not letting a lot of Christians come here. That happens to be one of the things that a lot of people are noticing. If you happen to be a Christian Syrian or somebody who's fleeing another war-torn country and you happen to be of the Christian faith, you are put way back on the back list. And, you mentioned how the liberals are trying to force this upon the people. Well, there are good churches out there who are, doing this on their own money and are willing to take in families who are coming from war-torn countries. I think the private sector in that regard is something that we should focus on and promote. If we want to actually help these people who are coming from these war-torn countries, let's move it into the private sector. Everything the government gets their hands on, they just completely destroy and make absolutely just more worse than it ever was. Like you said, the waiting lists are huge. They're favoring Syrians of other faiths other than Christians, and they're making the Canadian people pay for it. Whereas this can be dealt through the private sector, through a lot of churches. My mom, for example, my own family has brought in thousands of refugees into this country. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, all of you people out there who call me a racist and a white supremacist because I debunk white privilege. We used to, we still do, but when I was a child growing up, we had people of all sorts of races living with us in our home, because my mom would find a church, would do a sponsorship program through the church community to house some of these people that she was bringing over, and oftentimes they would stay with us for 2 or 3 months until the church, found a way for them to be able to get their own apartments and things like that. So that's the way to do it. We can help these people who are fleeing these war-torn countries in a legal way, a just way, and a way that's not robbing from the Canadian people. But if we put it in the hands of the government, man, it all just falls apart. And that brings us back to our whole point. That's the real oppressor. It's the state. It's the centralized banking systems. It's the international banksters, ladies and gentlemen, is who you have to be concerned with here. All right, let's head back on over to the chat and see what else we have. I'm going to scroll through. Has anyone seen the movie Canadian Bacon? What is that one again? I don't. It sounds familiar. Is that
Is
with
that the
John
one with
Candy?
John Candy? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember if I've seen it. I believe it or not, I've been in a movie with John Candy. I'm child actor. Some people may not know that. I grew up in the business. Got over 100 credits. I was a member of ACTRA, a member of SAG. Lived in Hollywood, Burbank. During the pilot season once, and I was in a film. I played his nephew, the nephew of John Candy, in a movie called The Incredible Time Travels of Henry Osgood. It'd be funny if somebody could find that. I don't know if it's out there. It's probably out there somewhere. Some internet sleuthing can be done, I'm sure. People want to have a good laugh.
Now that you've put it out there, someone's going to find it for sure.
Yeah, probably. Okay, I'm going to keep scrolling through. What is Leigh's ethnicity? John Haves wants to know.
What is my ethnicity? Well, I'm white. My background is Scottish, Welsh, English.
Yeah?
Stops there.
Yeah.
Yeah. My father is Scottish, and my grandparents are Welsh, English. So, yeah, from Europe, basically.
I'm pretty sure I'm the same in the sense that all my family are from Newfoundland. I come from a long breed of Newfies. And, if you track that back far enough, I'm pretty sure most of them came from Ireland and Scotland and Ireland and those types of regions, and then became Newfies. So yeah, I hail from parents that come from Newfoundland, and their parents and their parents and their parents were all Newfies, and so wherever they came from, I think Ireland originally.
Yeah, most of us are European from Canada, I find.
Mm-hmm. Has the left's rhetoric increased your own sense of racial consciousness? Asked John Haves. I've never really thought about these kind of racial issues until the SJWs started accusing me of being a white supremacist. Really, it's not something I was overly concerned with, but now I'm making it my business because they're so adamant on constantly trying to stifle my free speech just for simply speaking out against things like the white privilege myth. So no, if it wasn't for the left and the radical left and their views on who I am, I probably wouldn't put so much time and effort into it. But I'm kind of forced to defend myself almost,
Yeah. I wouldn't play victim to them either. They're good at playing the victim. I'm not one to play the victim. Of course, if someone were to, call me names, I would defend myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anything that we're saying is wrong. I mean, it's just fact.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. If it was any other race, and that's the thing, is like, can you just imagine if there was a check your black privilege conference going on at Ryerson University? Like,
yeah,
no.
I don't think that would play off very well. I think,
No.
people would start to see what the true colors are, which is blatant racism. I mean, anytime you pin a particular group of people as the problem for your own issues and your own problems, that in itself is racist. When you pin a particular group of people because of the color of their skin for the reasons why you can't climb up the business ladder or the political ladder, it's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. I'm going to pop over.
It's a divide tactic as well. It's a divide tactic, and everything is identity politics these days. Everything. You could, look at a photo and just, that someone posts on Twitter, and someone call them a racist, or like, the girl who wore the prom dress, the Asian, she chose an Asian dress to wear to her prom, and she was accused of culturally appropriating to Asians because she chose her prom dress to, my what was it? Their culture is not her prom dress or something like that. It's just ridiculous. Like,
Yeah.
everything is about race or culture, or people just need to stop being triggered and realize that it's not everything is about race or who you voted for, or so many times people have like assumed that I'm a Trump supporter, which I am not.
Mm-hmm.
He's an admitted globalist. I'm also Canadian, so no, I don't. I'm not a Trumper. Sorry, I know he's a puppet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, me too. I mean, I've been exposing that since the beginning. As soon as he was on the campaign trail, I warned people. I think one of the first videos I put out was "Trump is an inside job" or something like that, going back a few years ago. So people can check that out. And we say the same about Trudeau. And you reminded me with the girl wearing the Asian dress. And then you have Trudeau dancing around in the Indian attire, which
How many times has he culturally appropriated? Why is it okay for him to do it? I
yeah,
know.
yeah, it's insane. It's pretty crazy. Um, okay, I'm pulling up the chat window again, and I'm gonna go back over there and quickly scroll back up and see if we have any other questions. Jewish privilege asks, Dan, do you think Jews are using their positions of status in academia along with their wealth and power to promote the white privilege narrative? To promote the white privilege narrative. I mean, it's possible. Again, I don't focus on a particular group of people like that, like the Jews or the white man or anything in that regard. That's not my concern here. My concern is the international banksters who are really the ones oppressing people. So they may be, they may not be. I haven't come across any evidence that would suggest that, but I really don't know what to say, because that again, we're getting into that kind of not a very good area there of trying to pin all of this blame on one particular group of people. That's exactly what we're trying to educate people today to not do, which is what they're doing at this Ryerson event, by trying to teach about white privilege. So I wouldn't be so overly concerned with the Jews, who are controlling everything. I certainly am not. Yes, some of the men in international finance, some of the bankers controlling the strings are Jewish, but there's a lot of who are non-Jewish. I mean, I think it's counterproductive when we lump all of the issues and problems into one particular group of people. And that's kind of the point. That's what we're talking
I
about
also
today.
want to say something too, is that there is a difference between Jews and fake Jews who are Zionists.
Hmm.
There's a difference, and that's where people have been muddying the waters and blaming one sort of belief system, or if you want to call them something, it's Zionists
Hmm.
that are not even real Jews. They're fake Jews.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sick of blaming a specific, because that's right, like you said, playing right into the agenda. If you want to call it something, call it a spiritual war, because that's exactly what it is. It's Satanists against Christianity, and as far
Hmm.
as I'm concerned, they're winning right now. They don't in the end, though, and that's what you have to keep concentrating on.
Well, speaking of the end and all of this, the Bible in end time prophecy actually says that there will be a time when there will be those who call themselves the Jews, the hierarchy of the Jews, who are not real Jews. We were
Yep.
warned about that, specifically about that in the Bible. And as you said, it's more of this Zionist philosophy that is something that should be looked at and of concern more so than the Jewish people themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to get back to the chat. Actually, I better pop back on over to the Steemit. I can't forget about my fellow Steemians. So let me give that a quick refresh and see if we have anything coming in from there. We do have something. All right, from the Freeman Reporter. My alma mater, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, California, is becoming an interesting white privilege story. There is now a state investigation into fraternity racism. Might be worth looking into. All right. Kaiser, you be quiet, bud. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, that's definitely something to look into. The fraternal. Uh, well, I mean, basically, I think one of the reasons why we're seeing racism becoming such a hot topic is because of the fraternities and the universities and the schools being overrun with Marxist ideology, which is teaching them this idea that that it's they're not the problem. It's something external and outside of their control, which. Again, I think it's important to reiterate that if you work hard enough, if you are determined enough, if you want to become an entrepreneur and develop a craft, you can do that, and there's nothing stopping you from doing that. But in our fraternities and in our schools and the education system, they isn't it funny, Leigh, that when they're they say they're teaching the next generation, and then when they put them out into the world, they're up to their neck in debt, and student debt is insane. I mean, these kids are
Yeah.
coming out of school, some of them with hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can't even fathom like that kind of debt to be like, okay, we're preparing you for the world. Here you go. Good luck with that. We're sending you out there up to your neck in debt. It's absolutely insane.
Right. And then not even having a job at the end of it. And half of the time, more than half of the time, people who have gone to school, unless they're like a doctor or a lawyer or something, don't find a job in their field. So they end up in debt, trying, panicking and stressed out over their school debt and not being able to find a job in their field. So they end up doing something completely different than what they went to school for.
Yeah.
It's just, one of those ploys. And, what are they learning in universities? Like right now, there's a protest of Antifa going on at 6 o'clock at Laurier University, to scream about their cultural Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
Just.
Yeah. I never thought I would be encouraging people to not go to school, but here we are. I strongly in favor of homeschooling and things of that nature. You can, your children can learn the social aspects of things through other means. You can sign them up for, to be on a sports team, for example, or do things like that, so they can learn how to deal with being bullied or learn how to interact socially and things of that nature, which I do find are important. But you can get that from other means other than school, and having the state indoctrinate your children, and because I think that's what it's come down to. It's called it's an indoctrination program, really, and it's like teaching kids to be little worker-minded, mindless workers. I think that came out. That's basically what it's modeled after. That's why you have a bell when you're ready to go to your lunch break and things of that nature. I'm a strong supporter of the idea of getting your kids out of school. I always figured if I was a dad, if I ever become a dad, I'd be one of those guys who, if my kid was in school, I'd be like, all right, son, I know they told you this in history class, and you go ahead and tell the exam paper what it needs to hear so that you get the stupid grade and pass, but know this. This is how it really
Right.
went down. And but now I'm thinking, forget all that. Just take them out of that system of indoctrination altogether, because we're seeing what it does to these kids. Look at them now with their safe spaces and these SJWs who are pinning the blame for their own failures on other people, like the big bad white man. This is all stemming from the universities, and now, as we saw at Ryerson, it's going right all the way down to grade 6 kids, which is so bad, so bad. It's like the Hitler
Yeah.
Youth.
It's all about conforming, right? They tell you when to be at school, when to eat lunch, when you have to ask permission to go to the bathroom, you have to ask, to do anything. And then, you're being fed all this like conformed dictatorship, SJW, stuff that's not going to benefit you when you're not in school. I mean, I know knowledge is power, but the things that I think that are useful are things that we're talking about and that are going to get you ahead in life.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to head on back to the chat. I saw somebody saying, Dan, are you saying that there is no white privilege? Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I outlined it very specifically in my video yesterday called what did I call it? White Privilege Debunked, Ryerson University Exposed. It's a bit of a lengthy piece. It ran almost 20 minutes, but everything that was said in that video needed to be said. So if you're curious about my position on that, I spent a lot of time, gathering it all into one comprehensive video. So I'd strongly recommend checking that one out. I just posted it yesterday. Go on to my YouTube channel right here where you are right now and check out the video I posted yesterday for all my views on that. All right, I'm going to scroll through. If we don't get too many more questions, we might start thinking about wrapping it up. We've been going for over an hour. Can you believe that, Leigh? It doesn't even quite feel like that. Time just flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, totally.
Nothing new from the steemit post as of yet. Here's one. Truth Matters asks, Dan, what do you feel about those church ministers who own and drive Porsche 911s and Mercedes? Great question. There is a major problem going on in the evangelical movement of these preachers who are teaching this idea of basically the concepts that The Secret, taught, and that kind of a book and movie, which was saying that you are the creator of your own reality in a sense, and that God is there to provide you with wealth, and if you just ask for it, you will receive it. And then they drive around in their fancy cars, and they got giant mansions while never doing the things that the Bible preaches, helping the poor, giving away your money to help others. It's total contradictory. It really makes Christianity, puts a bad slant and a bad, it makes it look bad, Christianity, when these guys are doing this, promoting the works-based Christianity rather than faith-based Christianity, to say that it's your good deeds will be rewarded by God in the manner of wealth, if that's what you seek. And it's a false doctrine, and they are wolves in sheep's clothing is how I would describe a lot of what's going on with the evangelical movement, in particular in the United States, but it's certainly a global issue. So yeah, I take a lot of issue with these preachers who contradict what the Bible actually teaches, and try to make it all about this wealth-based system that if you ask for it, you will get it. That's what they preach, and that's what the concepts of The Secret was. But the problem with that is the logical conclusion that one will be drawn to is if I'm the master of my own domain, I'm the one who creates my own reality. Well, what's there a need of a savior in all of this? What role does a Jesus Christ play in that? There's no need for a savior if I'm the one who creates my own reality, and I'm the only one who can determine what's going to happen to me. There's no longer a need for a savior in that scenario. So that's why I feel it's a false doctrine that's being preached. And yeah, as I said, it's wolves in sheep's clothing.
So, and yeah, what do they believe then that created everything else? Did we create everything else? Did we create nature? Did we create like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I know it's pretty ridiculous. I do think there is something to it a little bit in the sense that uh, you know it's going to sound new agey or something now, but there is the fact that everything does vibrate. There is a vibrational frequency to every single thing. This desk right here, this computer screen, this leather couch that I'm sitting on right now, this cute little puppy right here, is all resonating at its own frequency. And certain elements in the world react to certain frequencies in a different way. And it's been found that water actually is the most it can react to the slightest of frequencies, and we are made up of, what is it, 85-90% water. So
Mm-hmm.
even something like thought is enough to affect us, and so that's where they say, whatever vibrational frequency you tune in or you put out, you're gonna get that back. And there is a scientific truth to that in a slight sense, but again, I think it's dangerous in a way, especially for the Christian or people looking for those kinds of answers, because it implies that there is no need of a savior, which I think there is. I mean, the human race is a fallen, is mankind, has fallen, and we are certainly in need of help. And it's our rejection of Jesus Christ and a rejection of the Bible and God, which has really gotten us into the nasty mess we're in now, because God's cool enough to have given us free will and say, hey, I'm not going to force you to do anything. If you want to go on it about your own, go ahead, have at her. Good luck. And things don't really work out so well for people when they go that route. So
Yeah,
yes,
that kind
yeah,
of goes along when you ever walked into a room and you can feel someone's like vibrational, like if almost like an aura, or like they're
yeah.
vibrating at like a low
We call it
frequency. You
bad
can kind of
vibes.
feel, right, exactly. Yes. You can
Yeah.
feel that. So I believe that there is something to that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, there totally is. But these wolves in sheep clothing preachers will take it to the extent of saying that it's all comes down to you creating your own reality, and if you ask for wealth, if you ask for money, God is going to provide it to you. No, that's not that's not biblically sound. Um, that's not what it's all about at all. Yes, God will provide, and you can potentially be made wealthy from God. Lots of people have been, but if that's what your intention is, God knows the heart inside and out. And if your intentions are in the wrong place, you're not going to get it. And if you do, it's an entirely worldly thing. It's satanic, and it goes against what the Bible actually preaches. So yeah, I have a problem with these so-called preachers that we see mostly in the United States, but it's a global problem too. Um, do you think there is a connection between JFK assassination and 9/11? Hmm.
Hmm.
Never
I've never
really.
actually thought about that.
No. Sky99 asked that question. Nope. I'm not really sure what the connection would be. Forgive my ignorance, but I've never really heard of.
Unless it's like the same people that orchestrated it. That's the only connection. Like maybe not the exact same people, but the same entities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's kind of a connection, but as a result of like them being directly connected, I've never actually No, I've never thought of that
Yeah,
before.
wouldn't be surprised though if there certainly is a connection. I would not be surprised. These guys think, in terms of their plans for humanity are sometimes generational, sometimes decades long plans. Guys like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Soroses and these guys of these nature, they had children and they've groomed their kids for that very purpose because they know they're not going to be on this earth for long enough to achieve the grand plan. Some of them know they're not going to get to see the one world government, the new world order, if you will, in their own lifetime. They're still very proud to have contributed to the cause all their life, but they know they need to raise up their kids in order to make it happen after them. So yeah, it's a intergenerational plan, really. Okay, I'm gonna quickly scan through and see if we have any other questions. Jewish privilege. What synagogue of Satan rejects all that you just asked, Dan? Not too sure what you mean by that. Maybe you can be more specific in your question. I'll try to answer it. What synagogue of Satan rejects all that you just asked? Yeah, I don't know. That's confusing. Sorry, not sure
Yeah.
what you mean. Truth, the new hate speech, says, never did get an answer from Pat Morneau about why he was at Bilderberg after emailing him. I think you mean Bill. I think his name is Bill Morneau, the Canada's finance minister. I questioned him at the last Bilderberg conference as he scurried away from me, and I told him, hey, this is not going to look good on the Canadian people want an answer to this question, and if you just run away and hide, it's not going to look good. And
Who is now under investigation, or was under investigation by the ethics commissioner for committing fraud.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, good guy.
I wonder if he's going to be at Bilderberg this year.
Good possibility, I'd say, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too. And I will certainly try to get footage of him if he is there. Because as you know, guys, I go to Bilderberg every year. This year it's going to be in Italy. It's coming up very soon, just about 6 or 7 weeks away. It's going to be June 7th to 10th in Italy. And I will be there to document it. And I believe there's a possibility that you might be there too. Is that right?
I have the time off. I have the time off work. So if all plays out accordingly, I definitely want to be there. I went last year. That was my first one. And man, confronting these people like we did at the airport was so much fun. It was so like liberating. It's just like you want to ask these people questions about like like Bill Morneau or Galen Weston, who is the CEO of Loblaws or President's Choice. Like, why are these people meeting in secret, and what do one have to do with the other, kind of thing, and kind of trying to figure out what they are talking about behind closed doors is something that I love to do. Expose these people for what they're doing.
Me too.
For sure.
Me too. It's interesting to watch them, scatter like cockroaches when the light is being shone on them.
Yeah.
Shone on them.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, and it is fun and exhilarating. And sometimes you don't get too much of an answer, and then sometimes you get a lot of information out of them. You never know what you're going to get unless you go and give it a try.
Like the journalist, the Italian journalist, and it's going to be interesting if you can reconnect with him in Italy. I'm really excited to see that if something comes out of that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm going to be trying to hook up with him again. I still have his contact information, so I'm going to try to make it a little more formal and official. Maybe he'll grant me an actual sit-down, interview, one-on-one kind of a discussion. He seems like he was the type that was willing. They do have their Chatham House rules where they're not allowed to talk about, some of the specifics of what's going on the inside of the meeting. But, maybe I could just talk to him about his experience. in general, as being an Italian journalist, being invited to Bilderberg, So yeah, that'll be great. But yes, I do plan on being there. I most certainly will be. I'm gonna probably book my tickets very soon. Um,
Hmm. How are the police in Italy, by the way?
yeah, I don't know. I've never been there. This is gonna be my first time. Hopefully they're nothing like the German police were, where I was like,
Right.
detained. At one point, I was arrested. I was detained about 8 or 9 times in the period of about a 12-hour period. In fact, they told me they were instructed to stop me any single time they saw me, to stop me and demand my identification. So not only all those times, but there's also every 10 feet. I would walk, 10 feet and I'd get stopped again. And we need to see your ID. And I just showed that cop who's standing 10 feet over my ID. And they're like, yeah, no. And some of them actually told me, we've been instructed to do this every time, with you in particular. So they've got me pegged now. So I have a feeling that the cops get briefed, and they got a big picture of me up on the wall or something, or they play my videos or something and say, keep an eye out for this guy. Like as if I'm some kind of troublemaker, which I certainly am not. I'm just going there doing the job of what the mainstream media ought to be doing, is asking these guys the questions that matter to people, because they're discussing foreign policy in there. They're not just chatting about golf. These are some of the world's most powerful and influential people meeting behind closed doors, and we deserve to know what the agenda is, because as most people know, what they decide in Bilderberg ends up following through and carrying out in the real world, like not much soon after. So that's the
Hmm.
goal, is to document what they're doing there, and to get find the discrepancies in the participants list, and try to get to the bottom of it. One of the funner things that we did last year, Leigh, was kind of scurrying around the grounds at nighttime, and
Yeah.
I think we live streamed some of that, and
Yeah.
we got pretty close to the hotel, and then all of a sudden, I remember we heard this big bang, and it scared the bleep out of us, and we took
Yeah. It actually shook the whole ground. Like we
it
couldn't
did,
figure out what it was.
yeah,
We were standing on like a parking, I don't know, it was like the parking garage, like it was
hmm
complete concrete. And then all of a sudden the ground was like,
it
it
shook,
almost like vibrated. Yeah.
yeah,
Crazy. I
yeah,
don't know what kind of rubber bullet. I don't know, would a rubber bullet do that? But yeah, that was one of the highlights. Going behind the hotel and seeing what we could see.
yeah.
Yeah, I
That
love
video's
doing
out.
that.
Did
It
we
was
catch that on the live stream?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So there's video of that. Yeah, there's video of that
Yeah.
out there. So, yeah, it should be interesting to see what we managed to find this year in Italy.
We'll have to bring back the hashtag free dicks
Yep.
if anything happens.
Yep. For those of you who don't know, I was arrested at Bilderberg in Copenhagen. They, tried to get me on false drug things at first, but it was all because me and my friend Luke Radowski, we questioned the organizing committee. They were there in the hotel, and we just went up, cameras rolling, started asking them questions, and then the hotel staff physically detained us, even though they had no right to do so, and they held us there until the police came. They threw me and Luke in jail. And while we were in jail, the word got out that we were arrested and thrown in prison. And the hashtag free dicks started going around on Twitter. And people started calling the precinct. They figured out where we were. And these guys are getting these phone calls, and they're probably thinking, who the heck are these guys? And then they let us out, a few hours
Yeah,
later.
I was actually one of those people that called. I was one of those people that
Awesome.
called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Ah, it's a beautiful thing when the internet's got your back like that, and should anything happen at Bilderberg in Italy, pay close attention, folks. Be on our Twitter. Be following us, Leigh, twitter.com/Leigh Stewie. Twitter.com/@press4truth or Dan Dix PFT. Yeah, we're going to be probably doing some live streaming, tweeting out stuff, and of course doing all the interviews and the confrontations with the Bilderbergers. So stay tuned for that. All right, we have been going for an hour and 20 minutes. It's probably a good time to call it. Any final thoughts, Leigh? We broke down the white privilege myth at the beginning of this video, the fact that they're indoctrinating the youth at Ryerson. What are your plans for if you're, I don't know if you're planning on heading there today, and I know there's one on the 13th. Yeah, what are your plans for covering that?
Well, the conference at Ryerson started today. The kind of administration, registering in. The actual protest is scheduled for Saturday, which is, I believe, the 12th, 11 a.m. Everyone's to meet at the main entrance, and I will be there live streaming. Like I said, there's going to be a few familiar faces there. And I will be live streaming, whether it's on this channel or my own. I don't really know. Hopefully, with the time difference, you're going to be able to be up that early, and I'll be live streaming. I don't know if I'll go right at 11, but definitely it's going to be interesting, and to hopefully maybe I'll even get inside and live stream kind of the rhetoric and the cultural Marxism that they're. The class-based guilt that they're spreading to these sixth grade students. It's going to be interesting and very eye-opening, and it's important to talk about because this is detrimental to society. Marxism has never worked. It never will, and Cuba and China are great examples of that. So, yes, I will be there. Saturday.
Awesome. I so look forward to your coverage, and yes, we got to end this Marxist agenda because it literally ends with millions and millions of people dying. That's how it goes. when you track when you follow its track record, that's how it goes. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, Leigh, and everyone else in the chat. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Of course, we can't do this work without you. So if you want to support our efforts, please check the links in the description to find out how you can contribute. You can join as a PFT member. You can join as a PFT patron, which is a great way. You can contribute on a monthly basis, a couple bucks a month, $1 a month, $5 a month, whatever it is. It genuinely helps a lot with us being able to do things like travel to Italy to cover Bilderberg and, run our live streams at these protests, using up our data. It goes a long way. You can, in fact, contribute Bitcoin by scanning. Everything's mirrored, so it's weird. You can scan the screen right here if you are a holder of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. Otherwise, one of the best things to do, really, is to share the information. That's one of the best ways to help us, is to share the videos. Share it with your friends. Get the word out about what we're doing here at Press for Truth. Help us build our subscriber base here on YouTube. Certainly, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that. Yes, if you want to show your financial support, check us out on Patreon and also pressfortruth.ca/donate. So once again, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Leigh. And that's it. Take care. We'll see you next time, everybody. Peace.
Bye.